The thing that's so amazing about SEO is it's targeting people who are actively looking for you or for a solution or for help on a problem where you're able to say, hi, I'm here. I help with this.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Workergenics Mastermind podcast. Today we have a special guest who's going to be speaking about SEO optimization for your blog and website and other tips for making sure you show up number one when your potential clients are looking for you. Rachel is with Etched Marketing and she has 20 years of experience and is a self-described word nerd. So that's a nerd who loves words, writing, and thinking about writing, but isn't technical. Rachel, welcome to the podcast.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. I'm so glad to be here today.
Awesome. Rachel, tell us a little bit about your background. You have a massive 20 years of experience. What has brought you to this point with Etched Marketing?
Yeah, well, I don't like admitting how much experience I have because it ages me. I like to present the illusion that I'm still young, but I'm in a field that didn't exist when I went to college. So I've been around since Google had 8 fonts that you could use for websites. So I remember worrying about Y2K. So it's been a hot minute. I actually went to journalism school. So I studied broadcast journalism. That was my first love. I was going to be a reporter, all of that. And then I came to the realization that I couldn't actually support myself doing that. It paid about $8 an hour. Even in the early 2000s, you really couldn't live on that. So I ended up using all of my secondary education, all of my minor courses, which were in marketing, because my father pushed me to study marketing. He's like, you're a born marketer. Well, who wants to do what their dad tells them to do, right? So who had the last laugh, Dad? I ended up transitioning into marketing. And it was right at the same time that we really saw Google start to change and develop, and websites came to be more common. And blogs became a thing. And then we started seeing Google really try to grow and change and focus on high quality content. And by 2012, I remember by that point, I'd worked in local marketing. I'd worked for a special event, arts and entertainment group. I'd worked for a nonprofit. I had worked in the corporate office of a franchise organization where I oversaw local store marketing. And I was really starting to fall in love with digital. Digital marketing was becoming a big thing. And this was like 2010. So it was still new, but it was really exciting to see all the things we could do. And that's when I went into the agency world. And I went to work for a content marketing firm, one of the original content marketing firms in Phoenix. And it gave me a chance to really see how all of a sudden, everything that I had studied in journalism school was applicable in this new world and in this digital world. And I remember being at SMX East, which is a big search nerd conference. Like no normal person is going to be there, but anybody who's in paid search, organic search, any search nerds were there. And they were talking about the fact that with the changes in Panda and Penguin, this was the era where Google was really cracking down on all the faking stuff that people are still trying to do today. And you really can't. They were saying, hire a journalist. And all of a sudden, my journalism degree that paid $8 an hour a decade earlier paid 6 figures today because the economy had shifted, the business had shifted, and suddenly my degree that was worth almost nothing was very sought after. And so not only did I have this sought after degree, but now I had a decade of experience in different aspects of marketing to bring into the digital world. So at that point, I ended up I was still in Arizona. I was in Scottsdale, but I was overseeing the Arizona office of a New York ad agency. It was the coolest experience. I was in and out of the city once or twice a month. I had clients on Madison Avenue in Manhattan. I'd go in, I'd have meetings with these big e-commerce brands. We were in the corporate office of all these awesome brands. And then I'd fly home. And so I kind of had the best of both worlds. I didn't have to live in a teeny tiny apartment in Manhattan, though I had friends who did, and I got to go visit them and it was awesome. But I also got to come home and get in my SUV on the freeway and have room around me. And it was really great until I got married and I had a family, and I found that my son was spending more hours every day with his nanny, more working hours with his nanny than with mom. And when he was about a year old, the company merged, they sold. And in that acquisition and in the, how companies sell and things happen, my role was eliminated. And I cried at first because I was like, oh my gosh, we're taking a 6-figure hit to our family budget. But it became the best thing ever. It'll be 8 years ago in November. And I followed a dream that I'd had for years, which was to go out on my own, but I'd been afraid to do it. I didn't think I had enough experience. Funny how now there's all these 2-year experts, but it was okay, I've been doing this for 15 years. I probably can do this now. And so for the last 8 years, I've been working from home, working basically school hours, teaching small business owners all the things that we did in the corporate world in a non-techie way, because I know SEO is kind of scary. It's a little intimidating. It feels really hard and complicated. And I'm here to tell you, like, if I can master this and be an SEO expert, I am not techie. I am not allowed to change the code on my website because I will break it. Truth.
Yep.
So if I can do this, you can do this. And that's my whole mission, is to explain SEO and content and blogging and podcast SEO in a way that makes sense to business owners, and to make it easy and to take the fluff out so that they can very quickly understand the benefit, understand what they need to do, and then either do it themselves or learn enough to be ready to hand it off to someone else to do it for them, but ensuring that they're protected and they know what's being done so that they truly understand it.
I love it. The experience of, having the really kind of terrifying being laid off from an amazing job, but then that growing into basically a dream opportunity is really special. And I think there's a lot of business owners who I think started their business and hoping to have that same kind of experience, but are, struggling because maybe they don't have the best SEO. They're not getting the leads or the clients that they need. So I think what you're going to share with us today is going to be really informative and useful for them. So walk us through kind of like someone who's just getting started and SEO is coming, on their radar, and they're like, I probably need to do something about this. Maybe they've got a website, maybe they've got a blog, but it's not really well maintained. Where do they even begin thinking about SEO?
Let's start with the question that most have in their mind but don't want to admit or say out loud. What is it? Why do I need to do this? I hear it's important, but I don't understand. First off, there's no shame. If you don't understand, you don't know, no big deal. Let's just break it down. SEO stands for search engine optimization. All it means is we're making your content, your website, your blog, your podcast, whatever it is, we're making it easier for the search engine to understand. And when the search engine understands your content better, they're more likely to show it to people who are looking for that information. The thing that's so amazing about SEO is it's targeting people who are actively looking for you or for a solution or for help on a problem, where you're able to say, hi, I'm here, I help with this, versus ads where we're trying to interrupt somebody and their pattern or what they're doing. Like if we're scrolling Facebook, I'm not there because I want to be fed an ad. I'm there because I want to be entertained. I want to watch cat videos on Instagram, whatever it is. I'm not actively looking. And when we look at the conversion rates, and we're all business owners, we all understand conversion rates are important. We need to be able to sell to grow our businesses. A good click-through rate, meaning people who see your ad to people who click, a good click-through rate on Facebook or Instagram ads is 1%, meaning 1 of every 100 people who see your ad will click. And that is good, my friend. That means 99 of them are not clicking. Now, if we conversely go over and look at the organic search in Google, let's just talk Google in particular real quick. Google, if we can rank in position number 1, and we're going to talk in a minute about how do we get to number 1. But if we can rank in position number 1, we're going to get on average 37% of the clicks, meaning 37% of the people who are searching for that word. So if we have 100 people searching, 37 of them are going to click on your listing if you're in position number 1.
It's like exponentially more.
Huge difference.
Yeah.
The other thing you need to understand is consumers trust the organic search results more than they trust ads. So they are more inclined, and think about your own behavior when you're searching, especially in Google. Are you clicking on the ads up at the top on the Google ads, or are you scrolling right past them going to organic? So how do you end up on page 1? Yeah. How do you get there?
You need to know your client, or do you need to know your product better? Where do you start figuring that out?
You need to know all of it. So basic marketing foundation fundamental is, who is my client? Who am I helping? What questions do they have? What do they need? So if you don't know your ideal client as well as you know your best friend, that's really the first step, is really figure out, who am I helping? And I know it sounds silly, but like, create a persona, give them a name. We did this in journalism school. We had viewers for our newscast and we knew who they were and what their activities were and what they were interested in. I want you to do the same thing, because then what you're going to do is to think about them when you're creating content. What questions do they have? What do they need help with? How can you be of service? And when you're creating content, you're going to create content that focuses on their questions. And then what you're going to do is do SEO, which means you're going to optimize that content for Google. So you're going to follow a few rules. And I do have a free guide that kind of walks you through what those rules are and how to do it. So we don't have to get into the nitty gritty details this second, but you're going to optimize it, because when you do SEO, all you're doing is adding visibility to the content that you're already creating. Without doing SEO, Google doesn't understand what your page is about as well as they would if you did it. So you're going to choose keywords, and then you're going to use those keywords in the places that Google's going to look for them. It's really simple. And that's what I want you to understand more than anything. If you want online visibility, you need to do SEO, and it's a lot easier than you've heard.
All right. So we've figured out our ideal client avatar. We understand our products and services. What's the next step to start getting listed on Google and making sure Google really understands what we're offering and that it matches up to what our ideal client is looking for?
Yeah. So let's start with our website, because that's base. And let's start with a local website, since most of our listeners are going to have a local business. So let's start with that. We're going to want to do what we call local SEO. So we're professional services organizations. We're accountants. We're insurance agents, maybe real estate agents, things like that in a local community. So you're going to want to choose keywords. You're going to want to go to Google and search or use a keyword research tool. And what you're looking for are things like your business, your niche, and then you're going to want to use your city. So I have an example that's a perfect one. It's going to fit in great here. They're a Montessori preschool in a suburb of Houston. We own the search results. We have been working on it for 6 years. Like, I'm trying to remember if it's 60 or 80% of their leads come from SEO. We own not only like Montessori preschool with their city name. We also are on page 1 for preschool with their city name. We're on page 1 for daycare with their city name. Some of those took a while. I'm going to be real honest. Getting to page 1 for daycare was a challenge, and it took us about 4 years, because we had to show Google we were so good in our niche, which was Montessori. And then we moved out a little bit to Montessori preschool. Then we moved out to preschool, then daycare. It was not an overnight thing, but man, does it make a difference. So we're going to look for those terms that are related to our business, and we're going to target the local communities. So that's something to think about too. If you're in a greater metro area, like they're in Houston, we don't target Houston because they're technically in a suburb. We target the suburb. And so that's an important thing to think about, is where do your customers come from? And then how can we help them find us when they're searching? So that's why you're going to want to use a keyword research tool to really see what terms are they using. I have a student that just went through this, and I'm going to give you a super quick example here. I have a student who is a coach for parents of adult children with autism. And so she has this amazing coaching service, and she helps people. She works more online than local. So she was using like autism or ADHD coach, things like that. She had not seen a word that was AUDHD coach. And that was new to her. She had not done it. She went through the course with me. She learned, she did SEO keyword research. AUDHD coach has 14 times the search demand. 14 times the people are searching for that word versus ADHD coach, I think is what she was using, or autism coach. I can't remember 100% right now. But just making that change, she had it nowhere on her website. She used that keyword. She updated her page, had Google recrawl that page. She moved up 8 pages on Google in 2 days.
Wow.
That's the power of really understanding your customer and what words they're using, and then using those words on your website.
So yeah, you mentioned something in the timeline there. I mean, it sounded like, for one of the clients, it took 6 years to really master the keyword in the area they're in, but on others, you can see results in just a couple of days. What should someone expect if they're just getting started?
Yeah, let me clarify super quick. It did not take the Montessori school 6 years to rank. It took 6 years to rank for something that was further out of their niche. They ranked within a matter of a couple of months for things where they had a better chance of ranking right away. Some of those were like long shot keywords that we worked on and it was 4 years. We worked our way up to them. In general, we say 12 to 24 months to really see a big difference. Now, you will see small wins much faster than that. Like my student who saw her move up 8 pages in the first 2 days. So you will see wins sometimes in the first month. There was a big study that Uber suggested this past year that looked at like over 1 million websites to see how long does SEO take. They saw approximately a 10% increase in organic traffic in the first 6 months. And then months 6 through 12, they saw another approximately 10. It was about a 20% increase year over year. Once they got to that 12 to 24 months, from year 1 to year 2, they saw about a 30% increase over that initial increase. So it takes a little time. When I was first learning SEO, they explained it to me and said, think of it as your retirement account. You put a little bit in, a little bit in, a little bit in each month, and you think, there's nothing really going on. And then you look one day and you're like, whoa, I'm a millionaire. And it's kind of the same thing. It's like a little bit, a little bit, a little bit. You just keep doing it. You keep adding pages, you keep adding blog posts. And then all of a sudden you're like, whoa, I got a lot of traffic.
Talking about the adding a little bit, but what does that really look like? How much time or resources or financial investment would someone really expect to have to invest to do SEO well?
Okay, so if you're hiring somebody to do it for you, on average, it's about $2,000 a month for a consultant to do a small business SEO program. And it can take that 12 to 24 month period. So you can be investing $20,000 before you see much in the way of results. To learn it yourself, which is what I absolutely recommend. If you take a course that's going to streamline it, like my students, my course, I tell them to expect about an hour a week to go through the course, to follow the modules. We have student Q&A calls and we have a private group because questions are going to come up. Questions always come up. It's a given. And I always tell them, just ask your questions. That's why you're here, because you need somebody to answer. So if you do a route like that, and you take a course, it's about an hour a week. And then I recommend 1 blog post a week if you have capacity to create 1 blog post a week. And the reason that I recommend that, especially for like professional services, businesses, local businesses, every time you create a new blog post that addresses your customers' questions, that helps them, that provides value, not only are you becoming a resource in their world, but if you're choosing keywords you have a really good chance of ranking for, and you're using them the right way, you are also increasing your chances of being found by more people on Google, because every well-optimized blog post that you create is 1 more chance to rank high in Google search results for something very relevant to your business and bring more people to your world.
You mentioned something a little bit earlier that relates to this blog post, like people faking SEO. What does that mean? Does that come into play when writing blog posts? I mean, AI, of course, is the elephant in the room here. Should people use tools like this? Are they going to be penalized if they use AI? What things do they need to be careful with if they're using AI to help compose blog posts for SEO?
Okay, so excellent question. Let's talk super quick. So you're going to get emails from people saying, I can give you this link on this DA website for this amount of money. Every one of us gets those. Do not ever buy those links, because Google doesn't want you to buy links. You need to earn them naturally by creating great content that people want to link to. You want to leverage, especially as local businesses, we want to leverage our local partnerships. If there's a small business owners group, if we're in the chamber, things like that, that's going to naturally build a really good link portfolio. We want to think about our links as our neighborhood, and we want them to all be very relevant and very careful and close. And we want to take care. And Google is the HOA board. We want to be careful with that. That's the first thing. That was one of the big Google updates about 10 years ago was on cracking down on link building, because you used to just be able to buy links and rank absolutely anything. And you could do some really stupid, shady stuff. You can't do that anymore. Next, Google went after content. So you cannot have pages that are not helpful. Search, maybe a few years ago, you searched and you'd get like a listicle. You'd go and you're like, I really need help with X. And you'd read this thing and you'd be like, that did nothing. That tells me nothing. So the Google helpful content update got rid of that kind of stuff. Like, they don't want that. We also had Panda and Penguin that got rid of the bad links and the low quality, like mini content. There was nothing there. Now we had AI. So the AI spam update, which came in March of, I believe it was March or April of 24, that they continue to update. Google does not want you putting AI content on your websites. And the reason is AI content is not always correct. Okay. They talk about AI hallucinations. Some of the stuff that comes out of AI is crazy. Okay. It can be entertaining, but it's not good. It's not right. The other thing is it's a regurgitation. It's not new. It's not helpful, and it doesn't sound like a person. Do you know anyone who sounds like ChatGPT when they talk? Like, we don't. So, can you use those tools to speed things up? Yes. Can you use those tools to write all your content for your website? No. Did people try? Oh, absolutely. There were people who used ChatGPT and other tools like that to mass produce blog posts, and they did rank briefly. And they would use 2, 3, 4, 5 posts a day from ChatGPT, and they ranked until Google said no. And they cracked down, and those sites took a huge hit. They got about 80% of the AI spam out of the index in one update. And they said it was the biggest update they had ever done between helpful content and AI spam. So use them for ideas. Use them if you're not sure what to write about. Use them even to give you an outline. I've tried different ones. I'm not a big fan of any of them, but I'm finding I like Claude.ai better than ChatGPT, and better than, like, was it Jasper, Jarvis, whatever the other one was that was here a few years ago. I used it once or twice. I went, no. But I also understand that I love to write. I have a degree in journalism. Not everybody feels the way I do about writing. So if it's a tool that can help you to make it easier, to give you ideas, to tell you what to write about, use it that way. But do not have it write for you. You will not rank well. You will not get traffic. Google will not trust your website if you're creating a bunch of crummy content from AI.
All right. So you mentioned something before we started the call, like a Google business page. How does that play in with blogs and websites?
So a Google business page, so Google Business Profile, as a local business, as a service provider, you want to make sure you have that. Now, you do not need to pay somebody to update it. You do not need to pay somebody to manage it for you. You do not need to pay somebody to verify it for you, okay? And I know you're going to get calls about that and your listing is not up. Ignore them. It's a scam, okay? You can do this yourself and it's going to take you 5 or 10 minutes. So if you don't yet have a Google Business Profile, go search Google Business Profile. Go ahead and register your business. Get set up in there. They're going to give you a couple verification options. It's changed. It's like a phone call, a text, upload a video of your business, whatever. Just choose the option that seems the easiest for you. Verify your business. Then you're going to want to use keywords like we talked about a little bit. You're going to want to use keywords that talk about what type business you have and the area that you're in, so that we are able to be found. Now, sometimes our Google Business Profile or Google Map listing will show up higher than our website, especially as small business owners. It will show up higher on the search results page. That's not a problem, because you know what? People are still going to see it. They can still click through. They can still come visit you. They can still ask about directions. They can call you. They can do all of that. It's not a bad thing if it shows up higher than you. It's actually a good thing, because it means you're now on that page multiple places. And we want to own as much of the search engine results page real estate as possible. We want as much of our business out on that page anywhere we can. Now, the next question I get about Google Business Profile is like, do I need to update it? Do I need to give offers? No, you don't need to do any of that. Just put some keywords in there that are relevant to your business. fill out your description, include your hours of operation, stuff like that. But you don't need to have offers and, put a few photos, but you don't need to spend hours on this. And you sure don't need to pay somebody $400 a month to manage it for you because there's nothing to manage. Do it once. It'll take you about an hour. It's pretty easy.
Love it. Well, you have shared a ton of tips with us for SEO. I'm sure there's a lot more to go over. And you have a webinar and a guide on your website that people can check out if they want to learn more about SEO and get connected with you. Can you tell us a little bit about those?
Yeah, I do. I have the beginner's step-by-step guide to SEO that's going to walk you through some of what we talked about today and help you understand what the different pieces are. And then it also has a checklist that you can use when you're creating a website page or a blog post, you're optimizing it, that tells you what those SEO elements are and how to format them. It even gives you some examples of what it looks like in Google versus what you're writing and how it looks to your customer and who you're writing it for. Then I have an SEO 101 class. It's an on-demand webinar. You can find that on the website. That one you can take at your pace, and it's going to help you understand a little more about what this is, how to get started. And then it's also going to help you decide what route is the best for you. Because the most important thing for me is that you do SEO. Don't put it off. Don't say, I'm going to do it later. Just do it. And then you can decide, are you going to do it, learn how to do it yourself, and then outsource it once you understand the process, which is what I recommend for busy business owners. Or are you just going to hire someone from the beginning? I want you to learn it and understand and be protected, because I've cleaned up too many messes from people who were charging for SEO who were not doing it right. And I've spent a lot of time cleaning up other people's work. So protect yourself, learn how to do it, then hand it off to someone else. And I do have a course that you'll learn about in there that walks you through how to do it and gets you ready so that if you want to do it yourself, cool. If you want to hire it out, you know what you want them to do.
That's perfect. Rachel, thank you so much for sharing these resources with our audience, guys. We'll have all those things linked in the description in our podcast and video here. If you want to learn more or get a consultation with Rachel, make sure you go to our website. We'll have that linked. Rachel, thank you again so much for sharing your wisdom and experience with us today.
Thank you. And I forgot to mention, I do have a podcast if you want to learn more about SEO and organic marketing and all of that. It's the Simple SEO podcast, and it's on every podcast player, and it ranks fairly high.
Perfect.
I wonder why.
I would expect nothing less. Very good.
It's one of the top marketing podcasts on Apple.
Awesome. Well, everyone, definitely check that out, and we'll be sure to include the link for that as well.
All right.
Thank you, Rachel.
Thank you.